Morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet. I can't quite tell in this new format that. Here we go. Looks like we're finally live. Couldn't quite tell in this new format that Facebook Live has what was happening, but it looked like it took a little bit to get going. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to another Postcard from the Edge, Magic Monday reading edition. I trust you all, for those of you who celebrated, you had a wonderful Easter celebration. I know that, we are constrained right now in being unable to really physically connect with our loved ones and celebrate in that way. But I trust that it was a celebration nonetheless, with joy and laughter and maybe some Easter egg hunts for the little ones. No matter where you are or were and what you had to do to make it a day of, in the biblical sense, a day of resurrection. So and ascension. So really, we're all learning to sort of resurrect our lives amidst these unusual and challenging circumstances. For some of us, it's definitely challenging. So. And not everybody enjoys the upheaval that a crisis brings with it, and I'm absolutely aware of that. Well, who am I? I've been going on about this. My name is Vidya. I am the Life Adventure Guide. I'm also the founder and CEO and COE, Chief of Everything, of Totally Vidya Life Coaching. And what I do is I help visionary leaders achieve clarity, alignment, and growth through evocative, intuitive, and transformational guidance and support. So if that's something that you are interested in, I would love to hear from you. We could certainly have a connection call and take it from there. One of the tools I use on a regular basis is, especially for the intuitive part, and I find it as a very useful visual set of tools to open myself up to that intuitive knowing, inner knowing, divine guidance, whatever your phrase for it might be, are Oracle and Tarot cards. Now, let me be very, very clear. Hi, Ruby. Great to meet you. Oh, that's kind of new too. All right. There's a new interface to Facebook, and it's kind of throwing me off a little because there's things popping up I'm not used to. Okay, back to what I was saying. So let me be very, very clear. I do not use, hey, Brandy, good morning. All right. I'm going to stop talking to people and talk to you and get on with this thing. It's really exciting to have people online and chatting with me. I love people. Maybe you can tell. But I want to be very clear that I absolutely do not use tarot and oracle cards for prophecy or future telling. It is not about fortune telling at all. It is about tapping into our inner knowing. It is about tapping into divine guidance, of being open to the guidance that exists in what I call the metaphysical world, right? We, in our embodiment, are so used to receiving messages through our sensory systems, touch, sight, smell, taste, hearing, that we often forget to tune in to what our bodies are telling us. And this is really what tarot and oracle cards are useful for, in my opinion. They provide a visual way to really tune back in and listen to it. So as we go through today's reading, I'm really excited about it. I encourage you to really look at the cards and take note of what jumps out at you. Colors, thoughts, emotions, feelings, symbols, imagery, they're all important when you look at a card, and they are, whatever jumps out at you is what is the message for you. So on that note, let's get going with this edition, and I'm going to take a little step into my former avatar as I've always been a tech geek. My work doesn't embody tech kind of work anymore. But I'm going to use this concept of Easter eggs to play with today's reading. So Easter eggs were, and I really truly believe that it actually came from the Mac world, from Apple. The programmers would sort of hide these little elements that would pop up when you typed a certain combination of keystrokes, and they were unknown. It only would show up if you typed that certain combination. So for today, I thought I would play with this whole idea of Easter eggs and see what Easter eggs the universe has waiting for us to discover, to find in this upcoming week in the four main systems of our life. So again, back to tech, I'm taking a bit of a systems approach here. And I think of our lives, I think of four interplaying, interlocked systems. And that is our health and wellness, our bodies, our physical bodies, our vitality, our energy. There is our when our bodies are full and functioning, and I was listening to Dr. Shiva Ayadure today, and he talks about a overactive dysfunctional immune system, so holistic health. But when our bodies are functional in a holistic way, then they enable us to go out and do what we are meant to do in this world, which brings us to our next life system, which is our vocation and our occupation. And then if we are fulfilled in our vocation and our occupation, as well as in our third life system, love and relationships, in all of our relationships, platonic or romantic, then we can step into that space of our fourth life system, transformation and expansion and growth. So I'm going to play with this. I'm going to kick things off with health and wellness. And I use health and wellness in the holistic sense here. So this could apply to physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, or all of them. As always, if you have seen me do this before, you know what's coming up. If you're going to do it for the very first time, if you're on the adventure with me for the very first time, I just invite you all to let's just take 3 breaths and just sort of settle ourselves in. Just 3, as deep as you'd like them to be. Inhale through your nose, hold a bit, and then just exhale through your mouth. So 1, 2, just begin to tune out the rest of the world. And 3. And I just want you to imagine yourself as this big, wide open vessel ready to receive all that is coming to us in terms of higher intuitive insight and knowledge and wisdom and guidance. All right, people, here we go. Health and wellness. I'm going to hold the card up for you to see. And as always, I'm going to encourage you to pay attention. Colors, imagery, numbers, symbols, words, thoughts, feelings, emotions, anything and everything that jumps out at you. Okay? Such a beautiful card. And it's just such a calming, peaceful card. And I really feel the message here for us is the hidden Easter egg for us to unpack today is to just, like the card says, breathe. No matter what is happening at the level of circumstance, in fact, no matter the chaos and the turmoil and the turbulence and the upheaval, sometimes all we can do is put our head down, not in the sand, but just take that moment to sort of breathe and ground ourselves back, center ourselves back. That's really what is coming up for me here. So in the context of your life systems of health and wellness, no matter what it applies to, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, material, monetary, wherever you're feeling a little out of function or a little dysfunctional right now, breathe. I also wanted to point out the imagery itself is a sort of a very meditative stance. So that's a great encouragement here. If meditation is something you have not started yet or have been thinking about it, 5 minutes a day. There's lots and lots of wonderful meditations on YouTube you can find. I'm partial to Steve Nobel and Jason Stephenson. I find their meditations very calming, very just sort of ease and flow, gets us back into that space of ease and flow. And kind of also wanted to point out this little phase right in the center of the chest there. And to me, that is another synchronicity that says, it's really about tuning into ourselves, into our inner knowing, into what we know is right and aligned for us in our heart and soul. So that is the life domain of health and wellness. And whatever comes your way, whatever is the Easter egg that's waiting for you, just remember, breathe. Breath is the fastest way we can change our get back, shift our state. Love that, Brandy. Breathe, reconnect, calm. Yes, absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. And the right practice makes perfect. I mean, you can practice and it'll make perfect, but if you're practicing the wrong thing entirely, you'll get perfect at the wrong thing. So, life domain number 2, occupation and vocation. No matter what you're doing right now, I know some of us, especially those of us who have new businesses, we are potentially looking at this and going, oh my God, where am I going to get clients from? And we may be looking at things to do in the interim period, which I think of as occupation, to generate some income, to keep ourselves afloat, even as we step into what I think of as the vocation, what we're truly called to do. And that vocation can evolve in shape and form over the years. No matter what it is for you, in this life domain of vocation and occupation, here's the Easter egg that is waiting for us all to be unpacked, to be discovered. Ooh, I love it when the cards go me, 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 me. All right, here we go. As always, I'm holding it up for you, upright, yes. And again, just pay attention to whatever jumps at you, emotions, especially emotions, thoughts, feelings. Pay attention to where it jumps out at you in your body, and then also the card itself. Now, I am going to say what spoke to me. And the first thing that spoke to me, what jumped out at me, was the suffering in silence. But here's the deal. I'm not somebody who believes in suffering in silence. I don't believe in complaining either. No complaining. But I do believe it's important to vent to this is from a book called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It's one of my favorite books, and the character in it, Socrates, says, let it flow and let it go. I do believe that we have been conditioned to believe we need to be stoic all the time. And in the process, we've learned to suppress our emotions. And I don't believe that is right. I believe our strength is in our vulnerability. So it's important to release our emotions. Now, that doesn't mean get angry at someone, lash out at someone, hurt someone. No, it just means observe what's coming up. I'm angry right now. I'm frustrated right now. I'm worried right now. I'm anxious right now. I'm suffering right now, whatever it might be. Observe it coming up. Own it, acknowledge it, and then breathe. Remember? Breathe, release it, let it go, find your center, and you open ourselves up to whatever will help us address that situation. So that's really what I feel like right now. It feels like we are all suffering, and we're suffering in silence because that seems to be the state of mind. And that's also interesting because you can see this card has, there we go. This card has a blue border, and it's from a different deck of cards. And blue really refers to the mental state, air. It's the sign of the air, our intellect. This is a card that says that we do not, in my mind, in my opinion, have to suffer in silence. That it's a mindset, it's a perception, but we can change things. All we have to do is shift the view and shift our perspective, and things change, right? Like it is, to be cliched, that whole perspective of, what does it say? The glass half full or glass half empty. And in my opinion, it's, depending on where you're looking, the glass is either half full or it's half empty. But if you expand your vision, if you zoom out a little bit, look, there's a jug of water right next to it. You can top up that glass. And if you're like me, there may be a little something else next to the jug of water. There may be a bottle of vodka, whatever floats your boat. I'm not advocating drinking your sorrows here away, drinking your sufferings here away by any means, but I am saying perspective. Shifting our perspective will shift our reality. And that's what this is about. And it also, the other thing that jumped out at me is the number 9. 9 usually depicts the end of a cycle. And so I really feel like this period of suffering, yes, and like I said, we just came through Easter weekend. Last week's reading, I was a whole week ahead. I ended up doing it on the themes of Easter, of death, resurrection, and ascension. So I really, really feel like that's what this card is saying, that we're still in this process of rebirthing, resurrecting ourselves, and we're going to move into the space of just something new and big and bright and beautiful. Life is going to change, but I'm a life-affirming optimist. I'm a positivist, and I believe that life will change and transform into something bigger, brighter, and more beautiful than ever. So in the meantime, we just work on what we can do in terms of our occupation and our vocation, and we can shift our realities and our mindset by shifting our mindset around it. We do not have to suffer in silence. We don't have to suffer it at all. Whatever is happening at the level of circumstance and fact. We breathe, we reconnect, we calm ourselves, we carry on. So that is the wisdom, today's wisdom, in terms of our occupation and vocation. So what lies ahead in terms of our relationships? Let's take a look, shall we? Now, so again, completely different set of cards happening here. This is a whole other deck, and that's another thing I enjoy. It's playing with different decks, reveals different kinds of illustrations and different oh, hello. Oh, my card's got a little turned around. All right, let's do this. So different sets of cards with their different illustrations, it evokes different things in us. So this is the emotional aspect of our lives. Love, relationships, dynamics is the emotional aspect of our lives. And oftentimes, especially now, we're all home with each other. We're learning to reconnect with each other in ways perhaps that we have never done before. We're perhaps seeing parts of each other that we have never done before. There was something circulating on Facebook the other day that said that parents are discovering that teachers are not the problem. So, we're discovering our latent talents. I know I, for one, have been facing up to one of my fears, which is not fears really. It's something I'm very self-conscious about. I'm self-conscious about singing in public. So I'm still not singing in public as in Facebook or anything, but I have been singing to my family, and I come from a family of singers, and they sing very well, and they are very nuanced in the way they analyze everything, and I'm not. I just sing because I like to sing. But just stepping into that space of joy of, hey, I'm doing this because I love to sing, not because I'm trying to be a great singer. It's not about that. Sure, I'd like to improve, but I'm not looking to be on a world stage or anything. It's finding those things. Pardon me, I got a little itchy spot there. That are giving me joy. So we're finding these latent talents amongst each other as well. So this is the Easter egg that's waiting for us to be unpacked in the life system and the life domain of love and relationships, platonic and romantic, or romantic. So here we go. Make sure the card's upright for you all. Oh, I don't know about you all, but I love this card. I'm loving this. Oh my God, what an apropos card. Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Lots of detail in this card. And as you can see, it has a sort of very fantasy, illustrative painting. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Thomas Kincaid's painting, though it's not like scenic in that sense. But so many details. I'm going to start with the words. Shift your focus back to love. The only thing that is real is love. And we've seen that, haven't we? In this chaos, in these very challenging times, we've seen communities come together. We've seen people come together. We've seen people rally to support neighbors and friends and first responders and cheer them on and do the best we can to uplift everybody. That to me is the human collective. That is the power that we have as infinite beings of light and love and potential and divinity on this human adventure. So I really truly feel like we're being reminded, when we come from a place of love, when we operate from that place of love, when we are who we would love to be. No, not who we think we should be, who we are, because that's who when we are truly ourselves, we learn to love ourselves, warts and all, our shadow side, our dark side, as well as our light side. When we become capable of doing that, then we become capable of loving that and everybody else. So I really truly feel like it is about that. And then, I mean, just the fact that there's a planet in there are children in there, and we're seeing this sort of just this new world blossoming, like birds, the doves. So I see peace and harmony, and oh, I love this. There's a little hand over here. It looks like a little child's hand holding onto the finger. I really see this card as a card of rebirth. That we're really going to be shifting into the space of finding and being more loving in our relationships. That's what it says for me. So, no matter where you are in your relationships right now, romantic, platonic, whatever is a dysfunction that may have happened, it's in the past, reach out to someone. That perhaps my encouragement to you today as the Life Adventure Guide is to reach out to someone today, this week, that maybe you have lost a little connection with. Maybe there's been some dysfunction, but maybe it's time to find a way to often forgiveness is oftentimes the biggest healer. And we don't forgive for the other, we forgive for ourselves. We forgive so we can set down that load we are carrying without expectations of whatever might be happening at the other end. But when we say, I forgive you for whatever we think they might have done to us, whatever hurt or trauma they've caused, we release the burden of that hurt and trauma. So I encourage you to really kind of find that place of love this week and reach out to someone, especially if it's someone you would really love to reconnect with, and do that from a place of love. This card is really speaking to me today. But onward, because finally, the last card is the last life dimension of, and you can also see we kind of went through sort of the physical embodiment with the health and wellness. We went through the mental embodiment with, our occupation and our vocation often is a place where we integrate both our for those of us who are heart-led entrepreneurs, conscious entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, whatever your word for it, we're driven by our passion and our purpose, and also prosperity. We want profits. But for all of us, whether you're a career professional or you're a business person, whatever you're pursuing, it's about finding your purpose and finding your joy, but we bring our intellect to it. And I think that was the second card. And then we've moved into the heart realm with love. And I think the next final one, it just makes sense. It's about what I call expansion and growth, because that's where transformation is, the transformation aspect of our lives. It's about being self-actualized, fully expressed, authentic. And we do that when we spread our light, when we work our light out in the world, when we go out and we are unabashedly, unapologetically who we are. Now, that is absolutely not an excuse to be rude and obnoxious. I'm not advocating, this is me, so suck it up, buttercup. No, I am advocating self-awareness from the perspective of, all right, this is my shadow side. I kind of see how it comes into play here, but how can I change my move from reaction to response? How can I work on addressing what's triggering that shadow side to come out? Because remember, when someone triggers us, this has been one of the best lessons I've learned. It's been a hard and challenging lesson to learn. It's been one of the best lessons I've heard, and that is, if I'm being triggered, no one triggers me. I get triggered, and I've learned to say, okay, just got triggered. Now, like I said before with the breathe card, it's about, no, about with the suffering in silence card. I do go through that space of, okay, got triggered. I'm angry right now. Just watch it come up. Angry right now. Release the anger. Gone. Then I step into why. Why did I get triggered? What was going on there? What's really going on there? And I unpack those hidden layers. And this is something I absolutely love to do. So if it's something that calls to you, if you are interested in going on that adventure of self-discovery into greater self-awareness and appreciation for self and unconditional love of self, I would love to be your Sherpa. I would love to be your personal Yoda. I would love to be your guide on that. So let's start. In the meantime, work your light, because that is one way absolutely to build our expansion and growth circumstances in life. Okay, I guess it's that one. So what does the card have to say? Oh, this card's come up a few times. So again, I think it's very resonant with the times. As always, thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, symbols, colors, all of these matter. So, just look at the card for a moment. Look at how fractured it is. And I think that's really what is speaking to me here. And again, going back to that video I mentioned early on in the beginning from Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, who is an MIT PhD with a background in bioengineering and systems. An interesting meld there, but he was talking today about, well, really, our reaction to a pathogen of this kind comes from a place, if we are reacting in a not so positive manner, like if we are succumbing to its effects, then it's because there is a overactive dysfunctional immune system in our bodies. And for those of us who have moved to a much more holistic way of living, I personally absolutely have moved away from taking pills of any kind. My last resort is an Excedrin migraine when I have a migraine, and that too usually only after 3 days of seeing if that migraine. I give it 3 days, and if it hasn't gone in 3 days, then I take an Excedrin migraine. But that's about the only pill I take. I don't take any kind of medication for others. I tend to rely. I worked on building my body up, my immune system up. And that is true whether it's our mental immune system, our emotional immune system, our physical immune system, or our spiritual immune system. Mind, body, spirit, soul, all of it has an immune system. So this is, to me, is really speaking to those aspects where our life has been fractured, where it's dysfunctional, where we have created an overactive, dysfunctional immune system. Period. In the context of expansion and growth, because whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, it keeps us from expansion and growth, right? And so that's what this card is about. But when we begin to bring ourselves, our bodies, our minds, and our mind is a great, great tool, but it's a horrible decision-making tool, and our hearts into alignment, and we begin to work our light in the world. We begin to shine in the world. So this is a great, great prompt for an Easter egg. What is no longer in alignment with who you truly are? Not who you think you should be, but who you truly are. What are the stories that you have been told over the years that said that you have to be a certain way? I was born and raised in India, and the culture of the times for me was, as a female child, as a woman, the expectation is that I would get married and have children and, kowtow to my husband because he's my husband, which was not me. I was never that way. I just wasn't raised that way. I wasn't born that way. And I had to learn, and I went through period. It was really, really hard for me, though, to not cave into that conditioning. So I did cave in, and I did go through that period of deconditioning, unconditioning myself, and bringing my life back into alignment. And so That is, I will proclaim this today. I am a joyful life adventurer. I am an awakened mystic, and healer. This part, awakened mystic, was easy, but healer is something I'm still coming to terms with. That I still can't believe it sometimes, because I have friends who say, "But you are," and I go, "Really?" So I'm still working on my own alignment. I am a luminous light leader. These are just stories that I'm learning to bring back into alignment with myself. And so, who are you? Truly, what would you love? Love is the word. Love, love, love. Love is the word. What would you love to have, do, experience in your life this week? One thing. Pick one thing that you would love to experience in your life this week, from that place of physical well-being, from that place of mental well-being. So you're really picking 4 things, but each life domain. Emotional well-being. Looks like wellness is the theme this week. And spiritual expansion, soul well-being. Like, really, it is about what will you rebirth? What will you, ascension is about moving into a new space, into where will you step out of your discomfort zone, and into where will you step out of your comfort zone and into your discomfort zone? Where and how will you make this magic happen? That's what's waiting for you to be unpacked this week. And I really truly believe that when we align our lives into that space of love, of all that we love to do, when we truly, absolutely, unconditionally love who we are, and we are doing and having, experiencing what we truly love, alignment happens. It's the concept of suffering in silence. When we are doing what we love and we're being who we love, there is no suffering. I mean, there'll be challenges. Yes, life is about challenges. We'll always be challenged to grow, but suffering, problems, our perspective might shift on that. And the one tool we have to find all of this is to breathe and tune back in. Find that calm center, because it exists within all of us. All of the answers are always, always within us. So we had a bit of a longer reading this week. If you stayed with me for the past 30 minutes, I usually don't do this for about 30 minutes. Thank you so much. I appreciate your companionship and your delight in this adventure. I trust it was delightful. If you would like, so as I mentioned, this is one of the tools I use in my work as a intuitive transformational guide and coach. So if you're interested in going on an intuition activation adventure, that's what I call it, I would love to hear from you. You feel free to message me via my business page where you are seeing this, or you can certainly email me as well at the email is available on my profile on this business page. In any case, have yourself a magical, magical Monday. I look forward to seeing you again another time. Please feel free to share this reading with anybody who you believe might benefit from it. This is my gift, and it goes out to the world. And I know that no matter when you're watching it and when it reaches you is the right time for you. It's always, always aligned. Until next time, until another postcard from the edge, there are other themes that are coming into play. I will leave you to have a wonderful, magical, full of potential and possibility week ahead, and I will catch you another time. Stay safe, stay healthy, get adventurized. Adios.